Private Hassan Halilov Ibrahimov from 4th Xanthi Battalion, the public prosecutor of the Plovdiv District Court, as he is sentenced to 3 years and 8 months strict confined imprisonment We were in Greece, in Oreon. There were so many different aspects of my father's history that were unclear. So I'm very, very excited to hear what you might be able to tell me.
This is a family register. The family came here in the period 1927-1934.
Okay. I don't read Cyrillic, so...
All right, I'll help you.
Okay.
This first column includes the names of the family, starting with Khalil Ibrahimov. That should be your grandfather.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And then Khalil Khalilov son, Faik Khalilov, Isen Khalilov, Ferhat Khalilov, and this is also Habie Khalilova.
A sister.
A sister to your father.
Right.
And here is your father, Hassan Khalilov.
Wow. If you don't mind, I'm going to do a little mental recap in my head. If he was born in 1920, then he either came anywhere from 7 years old to...
12 maybe.
12 or 14 years old. So this census tells me that my grandfather Halil moved here with my father Hassan and my dad's 5 siblings between 1927 and 1934. Vanya tells me there isn't much more information about my dad in the archives until 1941, when he appears in Bulgarian military records. This is his name?
Hassan Khalilov Ibrahimov. It says that he was considered fit for the army, and he was directed to the artillery.
Artillery?
Yes. And this exactly shows the unit he was called in to serve. Xanthi Infantry Battalion, called on the 15th of September, 1941.
So my dad was 20 years old when he was drafted into the Bulgarian army in 1941.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my God. I've never heard this piece of information before.
Really?
This is just unbelievable.
By the time your father was enlisted in the army, Bulgaria had already sided with Nazi Germany. At that time, Xanthi was a part of the Bulgarian state, and your father was part of this Aegean detachment.
Xanthi, the region of Greece that includes Araio, belonged to Greece in 1920 when Hassan was born. In 1941, with Nazi support, Bulgaria invaded Xanthi and occupied it during World War II. Although Hassan was born Greek, he was now considered Bulgarian. Like many others, he was drafted into the invading army and ordered to enforce Bulgaria's control over Xanthi, his homeland.
Do we know how long he was in the army?
Yes, that was exactly I was going to show you.
Oh my God.
The letter, I think that you can read it.
Oh, okay. From the commander of the infantry regiment, soldier dismissed. Private Hassan Halilov Ibrahimov from 4th Xanthi Battalion, the public prosecutor of the Plovdiv District Court, as he is sentenced to 3 years and 8 months strict confined imprisonment From the 20th of July, I dismiss him from service to undergo imposed punishment. So my dad was sentenced to jail, strict confined imprisonment.
Yes.
This seems extremely harsh, this punishment. But why? What did he do?
We have the information about the reason of his dismissal in another document, which is the document of his parole.
So what was the crime?
Stealing of 28 siphon bottles and the sum of 5 lives. It's a minor crime.
But he got a
conservant.
3-year, 8-month prison term for stealing plastic bottles and 5 lev, which, what's 5 lev worth today? $1?
It's not a big sum. At that time, the army was expected to demonstrate high morality, strict discipline. So lots of sentences were given just as an example to the others.
But he was paroled?
Yes, and because he worked in prison, he was pardoned.
After how much time?
After serving 2 years, 1 month and 10 days, it was in Plovdiv prison.
So even though he lived in Smolyan, he was jailed in Plovdiv?
Yes.
I'm confused. My dad told us about labor camps that he was in, but this was definitely a prison.
It was definitely
All right.
a prison.
What a shame.
Yeah.
When you know how kind my father was and how fun-loving he was, I just understand now why he didn't talk about this period of his life. He was anywhere between 21 and 23 years old when he was there.
Yeah. And after that, he probably returned to Smolensk because we see him again. This is the next volume of the family register of Smolensk. So, on the 1st of November 1945, he asked for permission to resettle in Plovdiv.
Why did he have to ask permission?
Smolensk was under military regulation. It was a border zone. Everyone who entered and went out of this zone had to ask for permission. So he decided to go to Plovdiv and start anew.
Yeah. I never knew anything about my dad being in prison. Now I'm questioning if he even was in a labor camp, and maybe this experience of being in prison was his euphemistic way of saying, I was in a labor camp. I guess that remains to be seen.
In 1944, near the end of World War II, the USSR invaded Bulgaria. Days later, Bulgarian communists staged a successful coup d'etat, making Bulgaria a communist state. Opposition was not tolerated. Nearly 100 labor camps were installed across the country, and tens of thousands of Bulgarians were targeted for imprisonment.
If we turn to his secret file.
Secret file? Is this my father's file?
It is your father's file.
Oh my God.
Everybody who was interned in a labor camp had something like this.
So he was in an actual labor camp?
Yes.
So this report says Hassan Halilov Ibrahimov came to Plovdiv, where he led a wild lifestyle and was even unsatisfied with life in Plovdiv. Hassan Halilov has a very comfortable home where he often entertains very different people and crowds, which often include officers and fallen women. Having in mind the above, Hassan Halilov is considered one of the most important targets of the service. He has been placed under observation.
Yes.